why she would tell you such a terrible lie. I don't know why anyone would lie to children. Although it is fun. I know that you took shelter from the drizzling wind and the windy drizzle and came in here to this beautiful synagogue that you were told Lemony Snicket was going to be here. It was written on the schedule, but I'm afraid he's not going to be here after all. There's nothing funny about it, madam. Mr. Snicket wanted to come here very badly to discuss his work and to teach important moral lessons. But I've just received word that he won't show up. And so the entire evening is more or less a waste of time. Some people have begun drinking already. I received word in a letter that Mr. Snicket sent to me, which I will now read to you. Dear handsome colleague, I am sorry that I have not shown up. I was eager to meet the more or less charming audience and talk with them about my work, but on my way here I encountered something suspicious that required investigation. Next slide. Oh. I got closer and closer, and I'm sure I will be along soon unless something terrible has occurred. In that case, I ask that the audience be informed about what will happen via some slides I've left behind to be explained by an official representative who happens to be very handsome. And please stop making up parts of the letter that I didn't write. Well, this is awkward. But I suppose I will go through these slides that Mr. Snicket has left behind. What will happen? Number 1, arrival. Well, you have arrived. Number 8, a revelation of a secret message. Number 9, Lemony Snicket reads out loud, which is a traditional part of author appearances, that the author reads a short selection from the book out loud. Number 10, Lemony Snicket excuses himself and runs screaming from the room. Huh. That's less traditional, I would say. Number 12, signing of Mr. Snicket's work, and then number 13, a troubling thing occurs in the middle of the night. Well, let's not worry about that now. Here we are at safety warnings, which I think is appropriate because Mr. Snicket has spent a great deal of his time researching and writing down very alarming stories in books that are very easy to steal from young people. And so for that reason, it's very appropriate that we have some safety warnings so that anyone approaching his work can be dissuaded from doing so. The safety warnings are divided into 3, you know, 3 thingies. Yes, 3 thingies. Thingy number 1, suspicious people. You never know who is going to show up at one of these things, or whether or not you can trust them. Safety should be a primary consideration, Mr. Snicket feels, so that when you're trying to cross the street, you're not attacked by a young man with a stick. At first glance, this adult may be trying to help a child, or perhaps vice versa, and then you realize it's a plot to slam her fingers in the door. You wouldn't get in an elevator with that woman with a switch doing goodness knows what. Even an innocent-looking bricklayer may be planning on murdering you and burying you underneath a tree, and the bloodstains will never come out of your coat. Someone should call the police. Well, that's not the police. That's a hat. And that's a man playing the violin in invisible shirts. Which brings me to thingy number B, suspicious clothing. Now, I myself, when attending a literary event, like to dress up, show a little class, show a little respect for esteemed independent institutions, and for literature itself. Other people, whatever they found lying around is what they wear. Something from their hamper or dumpster. Which brings us to thingy Roman numeral I. Suspicious investigations. This book of Mr. Snicket's, part of a sequence of books entitled All the Wrong Questions, which Mr. Snicket is asked to investigate the theft of a stolen item that turns out not to be stolen, and so the stolen item needs to be stolen so that the stolen item that was not stolen can be stolen, and so the case of the stolen item that was not stolen can finally be concluded. Mr. Snicket's work, laid out here on an operating table, operates under the same principle. The book contains a secret message meant only for members of Mr. Snicket's organization. In order that the secret message be kept secret, Mr. Snicket has arranged for it to be projected on this screen. Here it is. Let's read it out loud, shall we? No. That is terrible. That is some of the worst reading out loud of a secret message that I have heard in this synagogue today. In order to have the secret note read correctly, I'm going to ask for 4 volunteers. It is a volunteer position. You will not be paid. If you are an illiterate mute, you cannot volunteer, and your life will be as miserable as it has always been.
Climb out the window in the bathroom.
Wrong. You need to emphasize certain details when reading a secret note out loud. Think of the embarrassment if you read a secret note that said, climb out the window, and you said, right, I'm going to climb out the window, and you started to climb out the window using a piece of furniture or a woman you don't know very well, and then you would suddenly say to yourself, wait a minute, am I doing this right? What will happen next? So for that reason, Ryan, I need you to emphasize the location of the window by reading it as follows. Climb out the window in the bathroom.
In the alley behind you.
That was a very noble try, but it was entirely wrong. Don't feel bad. World War one was the same thing. I need you to emphasize the location of the alley by saying, and meet me in the alley behind this shop! Try it.
Meet me in the alley behind this shop!
Very nice. Ryan. I know it's not your real name, it's just that I'm extremely busy. I can't even think of a minute during this entire presentation when I could have just asked your name and learned it. There's no time at all. I don't have any time. I'm extremely busy. No. I would like you, Ryan, to read that last sentence. You have 5 minutes as bossily as possible. Now, do you live by yourself, or do you live with an adult?
I live with an adult.
With an adult. All right, then I want you to conjure up the tone that the adult uses on you when it's being very bossy. You know, clean your room! Or, you know, brush your teeth! Get me another bottle of whiskey! That kind of stuff. I'm going to read the entire book out loud. 258 pages. There was a town, and there was a girl, and there was a theft. I was living in the town, and I was hired to investigate the theft. And I thought the girl had nothing to do with it. I was almost 13, and I was wrong. I was wrong about all of it. I should have asked the question, why would someone say something was stolen when it was never theirs to begin with? Who perhaps would have looked nervous to someone who was watching her closely. Or perhaps not. She stopped drumming her fingers on the table and ran them through my hair. Soon I would need a haircut. She stopped at a rack of envelopes and grabbed the first one she saw, tossing a coin to the woman behind the counter, who caught it almost without looking. I also couldn't help but wonder what sort of person would sign a secret note, even if they only signed the letter S. A secret note is secret. There was no reason to sign it. Now this is probably about the point where Mr. Snicket would stop reading a short selection and, as scheduled, excuse himself and run screaming from the room. And then, as scheduled, you could have your books, should you be foolish enough to purchase them, autographed by the author. But being as the author isn't here, there's no way that can happen. However, I will be sitting at a table, stamping your books with the date. So when the police come to your house, and they'll come, and say, where were you on this date in November of 2013? You'll have proof that you were not in the presence of Mr. Snicket, but in the presence of something or other. But now I'll read the rest of the book, although something alarming will happen when I finish this book. Because when I have read all 258 pages, when every last sinister secret and secret sinister has been revealed, the floor of this synagogue will be covered in hair. We will become so upset and so distressed in our misery and woe that we will tear out not only our own hair, but the hair of others in our misery and woe. By the end of the evening, all of us will have hardly any hair at all. Imagine for a moment what that will be like. How disturbing it will be when all of us have hardly any hair at all. Are you okay, son? The man asked. I need to excuse myself, I said.